Greetings, everyone. I was at Mass this morning and I heard the gospel, and it really struck me. And I thought, okay, I'm just going to do a stream of consciousness on this particular gospel, on this particular line, or some of these lines. This was Jesus. He said, "Brother will hand over brother to death, and the father his child. Children will rise up against parents and have them put to death. You will be hated by all because of my name, but whoever endures to the end will be saved." Okay, the part that always strikes me is that we sort of gloss over this verse, this thing about brothers handing over brothers to death, and that fathers will hand their children over to death, and that children will have their parents be put to death. This is Jesus telling us this, and we live in this time where we think that Christianity is about being nice, and it's about kind of making everybody understand us, and let's be frank, compromising the faith just a little bit to make sure that people know that we're not mean, and that we're good guys, and we're just like they are. And that's very wrong-headed, actually. And so I've always said to parents, you have got to get used to the idea that your children may hate you. And if your children hate you, and I'm not saying that's a great thing that your children hate you, it could be that your children hate you or dislike you because you're a terrible person. I mean, it could be that you've been a nasty, mean, horrible, abusive, awful, unkind, unloving parent. And I mean, I've had many moments like that, and I need to repent of that and apologize to my kids for those times that I've been just a very not good parent and not a good person to them, and not shown them love and kindness and forgiveness and all the virtues that we need to show. So sometimes parents might lose their children because the parents are at fault, even if they're otherwise, by the book Catholics. We've done everything right. We're good Catholics and we do all this. Well, you may be just a terrible person and you really turned off your children. However, and this is a big however, most devoted Catholic parents are not unloving to their children. Most of them, I mean, they're flawed like everyone else. We're all flawed, but they're trying their best. And then their kids may, because of the culture, because of schools, because of college, because of social media or whatever, they have left Christ. They have just gone. They have rejected everything you've taught them. And in those cases, if you've been a good parent and you did love your child, you should not be surprised that this is going to happen, because Jesus said that it would, that your kids would even go so far as to hand you over to death for your defense and your belief in Jesus Christ. So we need to focus on that more. It's not necessarily the goal of a parent or the goal of any family member to just keep in contact and keep the lines of communication open no matter what, even when you're being trashed and Christ is being trashed and the church is being trashed. Sometimes things get really bad, and they're going to be bad maybe until the very end. And it says that, those who endure to the end will be saved. And you can pray for your children no matter what. You can pray for them, and you should pray for them while you're still on this earth. And then hopefully, if you make it to heaven, you can pray from heaven that they repent and that they come back to the church. But please, we cannot expect that we can keep the peace and keep these relationships if the other person in the family, again, whether it's a father or a brother or children, I'm mostly talking about children because that seems to be the most painful, if they don't want to have anything to do with Christ, if they don't want to have anything to do with the church, if they want you to change because you are Catholic and they don't like Catholicism and what Catholicism stands for anymore, and if they demand that you change and they're angry at you and they demand that you approve their sinful lifestyles or whatever, or their illicit marriages outside the church, or whether it's a gay thing or whatever, you need to know that Jesus said you might be handed over to death by your children because of me, because of him. And that is something we have to get used to, that could happen, that this rift could be for a lifetime. We have to trust God. We have to remember that our first obligation is to our own soul. First, our own soul has to be saved. And then we look to the people in our charge, and our children, our husbands, our wives, our spouse, everybody else that we love. But our children are secondary to saving our own souls and being responsible for our own souls. So don't compromise your faith to the point where you sin just to keep the peace with your child. Jesus said that is not necessarily going to be the lot of a Christian parent, a Christian family member. So anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out there. Do not be despairing. Read the words of the gospel, read Jesus's words, and trust him. He knows what he's talking about. Be faithful, be strong, and that way you probably will be more likely to win back the hearts of your children. And if not, you've at least won heaven for yourself through the grace of Jesus Christ and listening to his word. All right, take care.